Hi guys, welcome to Sewing Back. If you're new here, my name is Brandy. Welcome. We are in the kitchen today, but we are not cooking. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that I guess kind of started as like a hobby. It interests me, and I kind of started piddling around in it just a little bit here and there, and as I have done that, it has grown, particularly as I have gathered more information. And so I kind of wanted just to share a little bit about it. I'm not going to go real in depth, but maybe you're kind of at the same place. You've been gardening for a while. You have really started to do more companion planting, and you are finding that a lot of herbs have a lot of multiple purposes. And so that causes a lot of interest. Maybe it's interest in the garden, that they deter pests, or maybe it's interest for yourself, and that if you use said herbs and flowers and roots and things like that, that they have a great benefit for you and for your health. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about today. And I do kind of have an unboxing that I want to show that I have gotten. And I have some products that are here on my table, because a lot of people don't think about possibly a lot of the things that they have growing as having any kind of benefit health-wise to themselves. Now, first and foremost, I am not a doctor. I am not a nurse. I was a first grade teacher, and so this has all been, I'm not anything. This has honestly been like a hobby, and I cannot give you advice about your health concern about any one issue, but there are things that we all struggle with. We all have common issues with, like allergies and stuff like that. There are definitely things that are more challenging and difficult things, and I'm in no way saying that you should throw out all of conventional medicine. I'm honestly just saying that there's a lot of things that you can find growing in your own backyard that may benefit you and help you. But you have to educate yourself on those things. Also, not everyone has access to quality health care or health insurance that can provide for a lot of the pharmaceuticals that a lot of people use to try to alleviate symptoms, issues, and things like that. Again, I'm talking about normal things. I'm not talking about major illnesses and things like that. And I am in no way saying that any of this should replace having a good physician or nurse practitioner or naturopath who works with you. Particularly if you do take medications, or a good pharmacist, if you take any kind of medications, because there are reactions with a lot of these different properties, and you may not even realize it. So, and that could be just from drinking herbal tea, believe it or not. There are certain things that if you're on certain medications, maybe you shouldn't drink certain things, certain herbal teas that have certain properties that can interact with your medication. So if you do any of those kinds of things, it is worth kind of getting at least a basic education on herbal plants, their medicinal properties, and the different ways that you can use them. So I have taken, just starting off, I have taken a beginner course with Melissa Norris and into herbalism. I am still in the course. I actually ended up paying for a more in-depth course. I did like the real basics. It was fantastic. That part was free. The one I'm doing now, I actually am paying for. because I want to delve more deeply into it. She's done a very thorough job. I'm not an affiliate of hers, but I have gleaned a lot from her, and she is the modern, hers is the modern homesteader, and so she's in the Pacific Northwest, and she has a YouTube channel and all that, and I can link that in the description. You can get on her mailing list, and you can find out when she offers these free courses. Even if you just took the free course and you didn't go into the academy to go further learning, you would still learn a lot from the course. She also gives really good freebies and stuff like that. So she does a really good job in those. I also I did her master class on sourdough, and that was how I learned to make my first sourdough starter. And so anyway, so I have done that. I have also been doing some reading, and so the first thing I wanted to do was kind of show a couple of the books. If you get anywhere into any kind of medicinal herbs, anything like that, you're going to hear the name Rosemary Gladstar. So this is one of the books, and in this one she does give, and I can put these books in the description if they interest you. This one has tonics, it has recipes, so that if you have these things, she has great pictures to help identify things on your property. Depending on the phone you have, I have a Pixel 7, and I have a mode on my camera where I can take a picture and it goes straight to Google, and it tells me if I have something growing out in my property and I'm like, what is that? Or if it's flowering and I'm like, what is that? It's a fantastic tool, and I can use it in conjunction with books that I have. Now, these are not all of my books, these are a few, but I really like this one. Another book that I have is The Alchemy of Herbs, Rosalie de la Forêt. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, and if I'm not, I'm very sorry, I butchered it. But this is one that is highly recommended pretty much by any herbalism person if you're trying to learn more. And so I have also been going through this, and I can't remember if this one has recipe. Yes, this one has recipe. It doesn't have an exhaustive amount of recipes, but this one does have recipes where you can add some of these things and you're going to get these beneficial properties, because not all herbs are to be used the same way. Some herbs you're not supposed to ingest, some herbs you can ingest. So I've liked this one. I thought it was really good. But like I said, these are like reference books. I go back and forth. To me, the easiest read one I have found thus far, I found when we went to the Farm Where You Are conference, and I met Suzanne Shires, and she is an herbalist in North Carolina, and she has a site and you can Google her, and I'll try to leave a link to her her site in the description. I'm not affiliated. I actually got to meet her, and I bought one of her books, and this one is called Wild Herbs and Gardening. And this has got to be one of the easiest read books on this subject. I love her print. It's large print. She's got fantastic pictures. She actually has a cookbook, I believe, coming out. I think it's at the end of this month, maybe June. But she was such a nice person. I even bought some of her tinctures and things like that, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But if you're looking for one just to start reading, a real basic that you can digest, and you don't feel like it's a science class and over your head, I highly, highly recommend this book. And it may be on Amazon. I don't know. I bought it directly from her. But I will make sure there's a link to her. So So one of the things about growing herbs in your garden is that they have so many great properties for our environment, for the garden, for pest deterrents, and all these different things. A lot of times they smell really good, and they have really pretty flowers, and a lot of us, that's as far as we ever get. And then, as you know, you start delving in, and you're like, oh well, I love chamomile tea, you know. So this is like a chamomile tea. I have a couple different chamomiles now growing in my garden, which means that when the time comes, I can harvest and I can actually make my own tea that I grew with my own herbs. So, which brings me to my unboxing. So I have purchased. I think last year was the first year that I purchased from this provider. And so, because maybe you're interested in growing some of these medicinal plants, or they also sell herbal teas. They have different ones. I have a couple of theirs. I have the Wise Woman tea, which is good for women my age. And then I also have the Berry Basil lemonade tea. This one's like really good with iced. Oh, so good. So they have teas. They sell seeds for medicinal plant purposes. They have oils. They have all kinds of stuff. And they have a great website that is just a plethora of information. Some of the information I have found is easy to digest. Some of it I'm kind of like, huh? So it depends. They have different contributors and things like that. But this is Mountain Rose Herbs, and I can leave their link. I'm not an affiliate. I just am a customer. And so I like the quality of what they have. So what I ended up doing was I placed a seed order, and I also placed an oil order because I was reading about some different oils that I could mix together for some different things, because I'm learning. And the oils were more of a topical kind of thing, but I want to show you what I got. So when you go on their site, it'll have different things broken down if you're looking for like loose teas, or if you're looking for like one component of the loose tea because you want to mix your own teas, you can buy that from them as well. I'm more interested in being able to try to grow these things so that I can mix my own teas, or I can make my own tinctures and things like that. That is something that I'm interested in as I kind of build up my own home care system. And so one of the ways that I felt was the right way to go about it was to purchase some seeds, because sometimes you will have seeds, like you may go to your local nursery and they may have an echinacea plant, but that may be an ornamental echinacea plant and not necessarily bred to be used, or an elderberry. You may order or get an elderberry bush, and that may not be the type of elderberry that you need for medicinal, that can be used for medicinal purposes or to make elderberry syrup and things like that. So you do want to source the things that you have and make sure that they're the right thing to have. So the seeds that I purchased last year, the seed that I got holy basil, which I grew very successfully in my garden from seed. I did start these from starts and then put them out, but I germinated the seeds and all that. So I did holy basil. I did a couple different basils, but the holy basil was a big one for me. I did my comfrey. Comfrey seeds are hard to find if you're wanting to grow comfrey, and comfrey has a lot of great benefits for the garden. So I know that I did those two. I tried lavender. Lavender really has eluded me until this year. I have a few small lavenders that I propagated. They're kind of finicky, but I think I kind of get it now. I will be happy when I can do multiple different types of lavenders instead of just this one plain one that I have been able to do. I'm still thankful I've been successful with something. But those were some of the ones I did. And then I had also bought some of their comfrey herbal oil. And this is like you would rub on the skin if you have like a really bad bruise, if you have a broken bone. These comfrey's actually been shown to help heal all of those types of things. And I actually had a pretty good fall several weeks back and really injured my knee pretty good. And I treated it with comfrey oil. And my doctor was amazed at just how well I did not do ibuprofen. I did ice and I did comfrey oil, and I'm very thankful. It was great. So, and then in the garden, comfrey has really great benefits because it has a very long taproot that can go down to the parent geology, and it can pull up minerals into your garden. So, and deer do not tend to care for it. So if you have a deer issue. So this year what I ended up getting was I got some chasen seeds. I bought some more comfrey seeds. I got some hyssop, some stinging nettle. I bought some feverfew, valerian. I bought more holy basil. I bought some burdock. I do have burdock growing, and I actually bought some sage. I do not have currently any sage. The sage I had growing in my garden, I actually bought the farm in that really cold December freeze. My rosemary, my lavenders, they all died. So, I replaced my rosemaries. I did not even try to propagate those. I can get those pretty inexpensively. And then I have bought some lavender, and then I have some growing, because as much lavender as I could possibly have I want, because it really attracts the bees. And the deer hate it, and we have a very heavy deer population. So anyway, so this was my seed haul that I got from them. And I'm not totally sure on all of the seeds, what all I can do with each of them. I know some things. I'm still learning, which I'll show you in just a minute. But I was excited to go ahead and pick these ones up, and it won't be my last order. Now, I hadn't even opened up this packaging. I'll have to get some scissors, but I would do that in a moment. So I wanted to kind of show, so if you've watched the channel, last fall I did my first elderberry tincture. I had been doing elderberry syrup, but it was my first time doing a tincture. And I also did a goldenrod tincture. I actually have goldenrod now purposely growing in my garden to harvest for this next fall. I ended up buying some tinctures from Suzanne Shires when I met her. She has a whole plethora, you know, if you're interested. And I have been using her liver well, and you just do some drops in water. I do that each day. I also do the shroom, the dual action formula, and this one has all the great mushrooms and the benefits, and I just put it in the water together. And then I also do the lymph of love. That's to help drain out our lymph nodes, to help keep things going. I also got the lymph salve. In the evenings, I like to do like some lymphatic massage, and I use a little of this, and it's supposed to help clear out anything with your lymph nodes. Some other essential oils that I like to use. This one I love is a sinus blend. We have a lot of sinus allergies and things like that. And also I have a son that gets migraines, and so the headache blend I like to have to put in my diffusers. And I think those are all the oils and stuff that I have. The other thing, I have lots of teas. Green tea is a great way to start. Oolong tea is a great one to start as a base, and then you can start adding things like a burdock root tea or a chai tea that has all the warming ingredients to help warm up the body, or chamomile if you're wanting to relax. Or if you feel like something's coming on, you can do a white elderflower tea. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of the benefits of elderberry are actually in the flowers, which then you don't have to fight the birds if you want to dry the flowers and use those in a tea, or if you wanted to do a tincture or something, or a syrup, you could totally do that and get those properties out. A lot of people are familiar with like the sleepy time. This is one of our favorites. It's a sinus one, especially this time of year, spring and fall. All kinds of teas, and I love to drink hot tea. Sometimes I like to make them hot and then chill them. They have a lot of benefits, and honestly they're one of the best first ways to get into herbalism is through drinking teas, herbal teas. Most doctors will tell you, recommend trying herbal teas, and from everything that I have read thus far, herbal teas have the least reactionary thing as far as medications and stuff. There are a few things I think with blood thinners that you may have to be careful of, but for the most part, teas are pretty safe. That you can totally drink those and benefit from those, and we really should be adding those to our diet. Matter of fact, I think I heard a podcast that was talking about if we would just take away like the carbonated sodas and things like that and replaced it with herbal teas, our health would improve greatly for a multiple of reasons. So anyway, the other thing I wanted to show you, was when you are learning. Now this will kind of be the teacher in me. There are different learning styles. We all have a different learning style. That we have our strongest bent to our weaker bent, and then we have kind of the in between. So you typically have visual learners. You have kinesthetic learners, which are movement, people who need some kind of movement to help things to kind of stick in the brain, which is very common in early childhood education, moving through elementary school, because they are very tactile at that age. But some people are just always very tactile, and that's just how they learn best. They're very hands-on. And then we have auditory learners. Now, of all the learners, the least are auditory learners. Most people can't just hear someone say something and then they've got it. I think the higher estimates are 10% of the population learn that way. I've heard other studies and read other studies that said it's probably closer to 5 to 7% of the population. The majority of the population are visual. They need to see it, or they're kinesthetic. They need to experience it, watch it, take part in it. And so I think that I fall somewhere very much in between the visual and the kinesthetic. And I probably developed a lot of my kinesthetic learning from teaching first grade, teaching early education, because you have to teach that way and you have to stretch the other ways for them. I have tried to develop all of my learning styles because they're important. It's important that you can be a good listener, but that does take maturity. You have to be able to quiet your mind to pay attention to what's being said. And then there's little games and tricks you can do to try to help you with recall and things like that. But personally, what I have found works best for me is when I am in a position of I'm listening, trying to learn something, is I need to be writing down as well. I need to have that movement that helps me stick it, have something to stick it to. That's how my brain works. So one of the things that I have been doing as I'm learning about certain things that I'm growing, one that y'all saw if you've watched the videos, as I have been working on growing marshmallow. My first attempt, I totally failed. That's okay, that's how we learn. My second attempt, I have marshmallow successfully growing after using cold stratification. So what is this? Well, this is kind of my little cheat sheet. It tells me like the Latin name. I have my picture here. I have other names that it can go by. I have the plant family, it's energetics. Energetics, is it cool? Is it moist? Is it warm? Is it dry? What is it used for? What parts of the plant are used? And then I also have precautions, think contradictions, medication interactions, things that I'm finding. I'm making notes of that, things that it's used for. So some of the things that marshmallow is used for is for a sore throat, a dry cough, skin inflammation or irritation, upper respiratory and lungs, diuretic, gut and digestive issues. A lot of people with Crohn's disease or ulcer, I don't know how to say that. Any of those kinds of issues, that this is something that could work for them. It does have a diuretic effect, so if maybe you take blood pressure medicine or something like that, it's something that you have to be aware of. And it tells when and how to harvest. So you would use the root, and it takes over 2 years. So you can also use the leaves and the flowers after the plant is 2 feet tall. And then how to do it. On the back, I've got notes, and I've actually made my own notes on there about cold stratifying them. And I put dates and stuff like that, and I have room for more notes as I am going through the process. And so this takes time. I try to work a little bit on it each week, and gathering information. Another one that I have done since I grew it successfully last year, and I love it as a tea, is holy basil. So I made this little sheet, and so I am slowly working towards making these sheets for each of these medicinal herbs that I'm growing in my garden. And then if I want to start harvesting and building up my own medicinal medicine cabinet, I can. And it also helps me to know how to communicate with my doctor, because my doctor, when I go in for my 6-month or yearly checkups, and they ask me, are you taking any over-the-counter medications? Are you doing any kind of supplementations? They want to know what that is. And so this gives me the ability to have the conversation with my doctor or with my pharmacist, if need be. So the last thing I was going to do is open up to show you the oils that I got. I guess because these were in glass, they wrap these pretty solid. But learning takes time. And so that's why I am very much a novice. I'm learning things. And when I started learning, I was learning more about their benefits outside in my garden. Now I'm learning that they also hold a lot of benefits for me and for my family. Okay, so so this one is tea tree oil, and this one is lavender. And you can use a lot of these, like if you want to make your own cosmetic stuff, or if you want to make your own detergent, or anything like that that you may want to put a scent to that you know is sourced. There's a lot of times you can go to a lot of crafting stores and stuff like that, and they will sell like lavender, and it's not it's synthetic. It's not a real true essential oil. If you learn about the process of how they actually make essential oils and how little you get out of going through the process, you would understand why some of them cost a lot. It's a lengthy process. I only know because my son actually worked in a lab in college and actually got to go through some of that stuff. And so I got clover bud essential oil, manuka essential oil. This is from the same, I believe it's from I think it's the leaves of the plant where they get the manuka honey that has so many beneficial components to it. Well, they actually have an oil, and this one was probably, I think, was the most expensive. And then I got this camelina oil. This is like an oil that you can, if you're going to do like salves and things where you're going to use these things, you need a carrier oil. And so I got that one. I also got a couple of different tea filters to try that they had that I wanted to give a try. And so if I wanted to do like a pot, and then because I wanted to do like a cold, one of the things I learned to like last year were a lot of the different basil teas. And holy basil was really delicious. I would put it with a blueberry tea in the fridge, and it was really good. So I liked these kinds of filters because the infuser that I have is kind of small, and so I wanted to give those a try. So that was the other part of my Mountain Rose herb unboxing there. So that's really all I was going to do. Is I really just wanted to show you some of the resources that I have found and what I'm doing to learn more. If you want to learn more too, check out some of these resources. Like I said, I will try to put links down in the description to the different sites, and I know with Melissa, I can leave her YouTube channel. There's a lot on there. The other little tip I wanted to give you is that whenever you get into, if you notice all these little bottles, they're all amber glass. And it's recommended that you do these with either an amber glass or the blue glass. These are blue ones. But one of the things I've started doing, because as you start building these things up to make medicines, you have to have stuff to put this in. And a lot of times it needs to sit for, could be 4 weeks, could be 8 weeks, could go longer. And so one of the things that I forget, I don't remember which resource recommended this of all the ones that I have watched, but they recommend keeping your kombucha. If you buy kombucha, it's always in these amber glasses. And depending on the kind you get, I have like a really big one I got, that these are fantastic. You can clean them out, you can take the paper off, get all the glue off, and they have great tops for the purpose. You can make vinegars. There's just so many things that you can do with these products, and it can seem very overwhelming. And that's why I have taken to picking a few. Like, I don't even know if I will start all of those seeds this year. I may start some of them over the winter and then have them ready for next spring. I may change my mind. I have a long growing season, so we'll see. But that's why I have tried to set a goal where I'm like taking a plant or 2 plants a week, and I'm doing this. This is kind of like my homework. And some of this is information that's typed out. Other stuff is handwritten. That's me learning. I'm writing stuff down. I'm actually cutting things out. You may think that that is silly, but there's actually a lot of work going on in the brain when we're using our muscles that way and we're taking in information. It's also very important when you're teaching children. So, and then setting up my information in a digestible way, and like on my holy basil, I have my own notes, that handwritten notes, and I have more space to put more, and I can always put sticky notes if I run out of space. And so taking a few things that you want to learn about and gleaning what you can about those items, and then as you get proficient in those, then go from there. For me last year, mine were really a lot about elderberry and goldenrod. I was learning a lot about that. I grow my own elderberries, and I had been learning a lot about elderberries and how to, what to harvest and how to use it. And so now, and yes, I did grow holy basil last year and things like that, but I didn't grow it necessarily thinking of all the medicinal purposes, and I just was growing because I wanted to grow it. And so now I'm trying to be much more intentional and learning more and understanding more, because just like I said, I don't take blood thinners, but I know people who do. And there are certain herbs and things that might be in a tea. It might be, matter of fact, I'm pretty sure feverfew is one that is not okay if you are on blood thinners. Because I think it has, because I don't know if it's because of the diuretic in it, it has some kind of component in it that it interferes with that, and you don't need to interfere with that. So it's important to know these things before you might drink a cup of tea that has feverfew in it. And you might be okay drinking it, but what if you liked it and you started consuming a lot of it? So it's just things to think about. I honestly had never thought about it. I just honestly assumed anyone could drink any herbal tea and it would be no big deal. And maybe for a large part of the population that is true, but there are those times where there could be an interaction. And so you do want to educate yourself and learn and try things. And like I said, when I fell, I used the comfrey oil, and it helped with my pain. It helped with my swelling. My doctor really thought that I was going to end up, sorry, I have a fly, thought I was going to end up needing to have my kneecap looked at and possibly x-rayed and all that kind of stuff. And I said, well, I think it's just bruised, and I want to continue on the route I am for at least a week or so. I mean, I was able to put weight on it and walk and all that. I couldn't put pressure on the kneecap, but I kept treating with this. That's it. And I'm fine. It's fine. So anyway, I was like, wow. That is impressive. And when you start reading more about comfrey and the history of comfrey and how it was used, it with honey on wounds and things in the American Civil War, it's pretty fascinating just how powerful some of these can really be. So anyway, I'm gonna stop there. If you like this, like you would like for me to spend time on some of these different ones, like an individual beginner kind of thing, not just kind of sharing information, but keeping it in a small enough chunk that you feel like maybe that would be helpful, let me know in the comments. That would be something fun, a way for us to learn together. And anyway, with that, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you are new around here, we would love it if you would subscribe to our channel if you are enjoying what you are seeing. If you found value in this, we love a thumbs up. If you have questions, please, comment below. I'll do my best. Again, I am not an herbalist. I am just someone who is interested in learning. And that's what I'm trying to do. And we would love all those things. But anyway, with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.